I mentioned how the next time that I'd be making a video kind of loosely based on the fallout of the Georgia election reform bill was going to take a little while, but we've actually had a couple of different developments when it comes to this stuff here. And yeah, it looks like the Democrats are already having buyer's remorse on this one because Jen Psaki failed to really competently address this. I know everybody's shocked, right? But yeah, she's claiming that Joe Biden wanted to support baseball players, not boycott Georgia, because he remembered, oh fuck, that was blue this time around, or somebody told him. So yeah, he might have actually had to eat some of his words. Probably fit nice and good with his cream of wheat or whatever you eat when you're fucking 300 years old for dinner. Anyways, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki struggled Monday. There we go. That could just be the headline, because I think that's just how every Monday goes for her. To clarify President Joe Biden's comments supporting Major League Baseball's decision to move the All-Star game from Atlanta to protest Georgia's new election security laws. That's not being hyperbolic, okay? That's not media spin. That's exactly the reason that they cited, right? You guys know this. President Biden told ESPN Wednesday. I don't know why he would be on there. I think the last athletic thing he did was trying to do the hurdles over one of his dogs, allegedly. Said that he strongly supported the idea of moving the All-Star game out of Atlanta before MLB made the decision to pull the game. I think today's professional athletes are acting incredibly responsibly. I would strongly support them doing that, Biden said when he was asked about the idea during an ESPN interview. People look to them, their leaders. I remember when Charles Barkley, and he got a little bit of backlash for just stating the obvious that the media is pinning blacks and whites against one another, rich and poor, any way that they can deflect from the major issues of the day. Yeah, he was trending on Twitter because of that, and whatever, it's fucking Twitter. They'll pick any opportunity to be outraged, but I thought it's necessary to at least bring that up as well. And Biden also described the new election law as Jim Crow on steroids. And you guys remember, it's not only Jim Crow on steroids, it's also Jim Eagle. Still waiting for clarification on that. And like I said, they have buyer's remorse on this one. Psaki tried to dodge responsibility for the boycott. Well, when you had your boss out there on ESPN, still regrettably the largest sports platform in the world, it's hard to shift blame on that one. Anyways, suggesting the president was only trying to support MLB players. Let me just check here. I would strongly support them doing that. Today's professional athletes are acting incredibly responsibly. Okay, you could spin it that way. There is room to wiggle there if we're going to be fair on things, but he also said he would support moving the game. Let's not forget that. He was not dictating for what Major League Baseball should do, that they should dictating. They should move the All-Star game, she said. That was their decision. They made the decision, not us. It's my private company. And she said, oh, and as he stated earlier, he certainly supports that. I wonder who's going to be going first, her or Biden himself. I'm not too sure, because how much longer can she continue to go on just not giving any concrete answers, not even just giving fair answers or answers that really clarify anything? When asked if she was trying to walk back Biden's comments, Psaki replied, "New business. No. I'm trying to articulate clearly to everyone what he said." What a bitch. Anyways, Brian Kemp gave a much more concrete, much more elaborate explanation that he's not going to be backing down in the face of these woke corporations. And thank God, I'm so glad, like I stated yesterday, that he definitely has a spine and he's going to be sticking up for his decision, his legislature, and the overwhelming majority of people in the United States. Let's be completely honest, because election reform is widely popular. It doesn't matter how you want to gerrymander the numbers. Every demographic supports it overwhelmingly. So Kemp joined The Truth with Lisa Booth. It sounds familiar. Where he discussed a recently passed voting reform law in the Peach State and suggesting corporations and activists do not care about the truth. I agree. Kemp said he is not surprised at all with the left's reaction to the new law. Unfortunately, the playbook was written a long time ago, so it doesn't really matter what the truth is to the other side, but it does to us, Kemp told Booth, saying he is setting the record straight. We're securing drop boxes. You really shouldn't fucking need drop boxes after there's going to be, or at least there shouldn't be any more widespread mail-in balloting, but you should at least secure them if there's going to be the opportunity for that to ever pop up again. We're expanding early voting opportunities, from 10 to 17 days. Anyways, especially on the weekend, we're making sure that county election officials continuously count or tabulate every single vote until they get finished. And that's basically what it's doing. There's a lot of things that we saw after the election. We had new voting equipment, we had drop boxes, and for the first time, which we are also securing drop boxes in this legislation. That was something that we pointed out during our first pass of the election reform bill, because it mostly just deals with mail-in ballots, securing those. So it's not really warranting of such high-level spurging on the left, but hey, this is what you get, I guess. Anything that the right does, the left, the authoritarians just decide that, we got to be 100% against that. What's that? The right is against child trafficking? You're just being unfair to illegal immigrants. You're just not giving the migrants a chance to come across the border. Won't you please think of the children? Unless we're going to sell them to get fucked. Then at the same time, we don't want to stop them because they have a right to be here and vote. Kemp also said that there were problems with people being able to watch the elections and monitor it properly. Something that the bill actually doesn't address right now, and that's why I said that there needs to be more legislation. This just needs to be kicking open the door. And this gives another insight as to why I don't really much care for politicians and think that they just use whatever the word of the day is, because this line really does say it all. Okay? They do not care about the truth. I agree with this. But then there's this line. It is all about a narrative. It is all about an agenda. It's all about, the cancel culture. What the fuck does cancel culture have to do with any of this? Okay. If you're just looking at the election law itself, why do you just bring out buzzwords? Okay? You should be going directly at the specific corporations that have pulled out or made stupid fucking statements on things that they don't even understand. You should be pointing out the low IQ takes that these people are making in order to inform a much better dialogue going forward. Because, you know what, if these companies really just dug into it, like you take a look, okay, all of these corporations were definitely for mail-in balloting because you need to expand the safe spaces to literally everywhere. Make sure that nobody will catch the coof and fucking drop dead, because that happens all the time. But then when places like Amazon are voting to unionize their workers, they all of a sudden don't want mail-in balloting for very obvious reasons. You should be questioning them on that. You shouldn't be just saying, the narrative and the cancel culture. It's fucking Brian Kemp. What do you expect? But at least he had a good take on things, and at least, he's going to be sticking to his guns and not fucking backing down. Kind of like what Governor Greg Abbott is doing. I know we're kind of doing the whole fucking tour right now of Republican governors, and we're going to be ending on DeSantis, of course, but this one here is important. I like it. Governor Abbott, MLB's partisan politics are shameful. Texas won't host special events like the All-Star Game. Yeah, it's kind of been speculating as to where the All-Star Game's going to land, and the only place, I've been running through it in my head because I can easily run down every single conference, every team in the conference. I love baseball, but I just don't like the direction that it's going. And there's only one place where I think that the MLB's All-Star Game can pretty much end up, and try to put two different sayings together there. You can take every team from both the AL and the NL East and just completely knock them off, because, okay, how many people are allowed at New York games, either the Yankees or the Mets? 2,500, maybe 5,000? In stadiums that hold over 40,000. If you're going to be having a fan-centered experience, you can't be having them in New York. So that takes the Mets and the Yankees out of there. Toronto Blue Jays, they can't even play at home. They're playing in their fucking spring ballpark. So, Baltimore, Maryland, get the fuck out. Florida, maybe, but I'd imagine we're going to be hearing something from DeSantis if we haven't already. I just did some research prior to recording this video, and I haven't seen him say anything like fuck off, like what Greg Abbott's done for Texas. So it's going to be a little bit tough right now for him to say anything different, because everything that he's been doing when it comes to a legislative executive order standpoint has been antithetical to bowing to the woke mob. So I wouldn't possibly put Florida on there, so that automatically takes out Tampa Bay, and that takes out the Miami Marlins. So basically, long story short, the only ones that I can think of, maybe Arizona. Arizona's been one of those places that hasn't had a mask mandate, except for in places like Phoenix, where the mayor is complete and utter fearmonger, if we're being nice about it. They haven't really shut down that much, so I'd imagine Chase Field is probably on the docket. Maybe Busch Field, maybe St. Louis, Missouri might open up, but the options are going to be very, very, very few and far between. So if I was to place money and if I was to bet anywhere right now, I would imagine Chase Field is probably the most obvious decision, because California ain't going to happen. And there is, like 5 or 6 teams? Both LA, Oakland, San Diego, and San Francisco. So yeah, ain't any of those places going to be open very quickly anytime soon. So, and then you got to take Houston, you got to take the Rangers out of it. So, well, that's basic. That is exactly what Greg Abbott's saying. That's not basically what he's saying. He's just going ahead and cutting the shit, because he dropped quite a good statement, because today's Texas's home opener. It's going to be their first game that they are going to be playing in their new home ballpark, Globe Life Field, I remember. I was able to go to their original, well, not their original ballpark, but the one that they've played in since the mid-90s. Beautiful, beautiful stadium. It's still going to be kept open for, I forget which events, but the XFL team played there. It's still beautiful. It's a gorgeous place, and the new ballpark looks tremendous as well. But they ain't going to be hosting the All-Star game. Nope. And they have a full house. There are pictures out there right now, and it looks gorgeous, okay? But Greg Abbott was offered the opportunity to come in and throw out the first pitch, and he said, nah, go fuck yourself. On Monday, Texas Governor Greg Abbott sent a letter to the Texas Rangers baseball organization declining the invitation to throw out the ceremonial first pitch at the team's home opener. The governor says his rejection of the offer is in response to Major League Baseball's decision to perpetuate false political narratives by announcing it is moving the All-Star game from Atlanta because of Georgia's new election integrity law. The accusation made against Georgia's new election integrity law. Democrat and mainstream media represent the actual content of the law, as Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has repeatedly explained. Still, MLB took it upon themselves to pull and relocate its All-Star game from the state, attributing its justification of the debunked liberal narrative. That's their words. I wouldn't slander the term liberal, but that's by all means their prerogative. So here was a statement. Thank you for the invitation to throw out the first pitch at the Texas Rangers home opening game. I was looking forward to it until Major League Baseball adopted what has turned out to be the false narrative, the election law reforms in Georgia, and based on the false narrative, moved the MLB All-Star game from Atlanta. It is shameful that America's pastime is not only being influenced by partisan political politics, very alliterative, but also perpetuating false political narratives. PPPPP. The state of Texas was proud to help MLB host last season's National League playoff games and the World Series in Arlington. Yes, that's why I said in the beginning the Texas Rangers were going to be playing to a full crowd today for the first time in their brand new ballpark, but the World Series was hosted there. And it's funny, right? The Dodgers, who I am big fans of, even prior to them becoming a super team, by the way, they hoisted the World Series trophy for the first time since 1988, and it was in front of a very, very good crowd. Something that is still not possible at Chavez Ravine. Just a little point there, because Greg Abbott has a spine, not necessarily functioning legs, but he definitely does have a spine, unlike Gavin Newsom. However, I will not participate in the event held by MLB, and the state will not seek to host the All-Star Game or any other MLB special events. Let's see if the Major League Baseball responds in kind. This decision does not diminish the deep respect I have for the Texas Rangers baseball organization, which is outstanding from the top to the bottom. I wish the team great success this season, and if you get your shit together, I will definitely be coming back, obviously. But hey, that's a great way to stick it to them. It's being kind to the people that didn't really have a say in what happened with the major organization, just pulling their partisan political tactics, and also keeping a good relationship with the team, and at the same time just sticking it to the stupid fucking Major League Baseball. So yeah, that's Greg Abbott doing some good stuff. But how about what happened on 60 Minutes, which, let's just drop all pretense, they are definitely just the new age Pravda, right? 60 Minutes ran what was supposed to be an expose, but it was just a slander hit piece against Ron DeSantis. So, CBS News disgraced news magazine 60 Minutes has been caught maliciously editing comments made by Governor Ron DeSantis about fake pay-for-play conspiracy theory, which fake media outlets like 60 Minutes are trying to fabricate out of thin air. Ron DeSantis' full and complete and reasonable answer was available on YouTube, but now the exculpatory YouTube video has mysteriously vanished after conservatives begin sharing it. Wow, I'm sure it's probably just a mistake, right? It's weird how these mistakes only happen in one direction. Over Easter weekend, 60 Minutes released a clip of correspondent Sharon Alfonsi basically heckling the governor with her debunked conspiracy theory during a March press conference. But the clip released by the fake outlet is maliciously edited to make it look as though DeSantis dodged and bulldozed her question rather than answered it. To nobody's surprise ever, I'd imagine the cuts were probably fairly obvious to people who have even just a cursory understanding of how video editing works, but it's enough to just sway the low IQ people who may just have it on in the background and might not be paying that much of attention and think, geez, that Ron DeSantis guy, sure, it's bad. He's killing a lot of people when it comes to COVID, like 33,000 people have died and 2 million people have caught it. That's like a 0.00. Wait, don't do the math. Publix, as you know, donated $100,000 to your campaign, Alfonsi angrily says, and then you rewarded them with the exclusive rights to distribute the vaccination in Palm Beach. Interesting. I heard this story come up, but I figured that there was probably a little bit more to it, and to my surprise, of course there was. First of all, what you're saying is wrong, DeSantis fires back. How is that not pay for play, Alfonsi shouts back through her, 24, 25, 26 masks? That's a fake narrative. I met with the county mayor, I met with the administrator, I met with folks all over Palm Beach County, and I said, here's some of the options. We can do more drive-through sites, we can give more to hospitals. We can do the Publix. Interesting, is that a dance? No. It's a grocery store, of course. We think that would be the easiest thing for our residents. Alfonsi shouts back that Palm Beach County Commissioner Melissa McKinley says DeSantis never met with her about the Publix deal. She then heckles the governor. The criticism here is that it is pay for play, governor. And that is wrong. It's wrong. DeSantis replies, it's a fake narrative. I've just disabused you of the narrative, and you don't care about the facts because, obviously, I laid it out for you in a way that is irrefutable. Okay, but obviously that looks bad, right? Because it's just him shouting at somebody who is just, a demure, scared little woman. Like, what would this lady do? She had her makeup done all so nice, and she got the big blue eyes, and she got the little black mask on, and she probably just looks, so helpless. Until you've seen the full clip. Something we can't show you here. Something you can't find for yourself, but you can find the transcript. And here's what DeSantis said. First of all, the first pharmacies that had the vaccine were CVS and Walgreens, and they had a long-term care mission. So they were going to have the long-term care facilities. They got the vaccine in the middle of December, and they started going after the long-term care facilities the third week in December to do long-term care centers. DeSantis told Alfonsi. So that was their mission. That was very important, and we trusted them to do that. As we got into January, we wanted to expand the distribution points. So yes, you had the counties. You had some drive-through sites, you had hospitals, and you were doing a lot. But we wanted to get it into communities more, so we reached out to other retail pharmacies. Publix, Walmart, obviously CVS, and Walgreens had to finish that mission, and we said we're going to use you as soon as you are done with that. A lot of stuff in that statement was already said in the edited clips that 60 Minutes ran. But in full context, doesn't it seem just a little bit more fair? Interesting. DeSantis added that Publix was the first ones to raise their hands to say that they were ready to distribute the vaccine. The vaccine was then rolled out on a trial basis with 3 counties. Seniors gave the rollout 100% positive feedback. The disgraced 60 Minutes hit job is such hack work, obviously. The former head of Florida's Emergency Management Agency, a Democrat? I'm fucking shocked, you guys. Can you believe somebody who would be orchestrating a hack hit piece would be a Democrat? By my stars, by my stars, is declaring it hack work. The former head of Florida's emergency management agency, a Democrat, pushes back on 60 Minutes story tying Publix donations to DeSantis to its state vaccine distribution contract. Oh yes, of course. So I don't know, unless you guys are one of those Sunday evening or whenever 60 Minutes is on, I don't know, I haven't paid them any attention, just like most of mainstream media, because I don't think they do a good job. I hope to provide you a little bit of a service in which I think that journalism should be conducted. And of course, it can never be broadcast on television because I like to say fun words like fuck and this bitch is a cunt. And with that said, I can cover a whole host of topics. Well, I'm not able to cover some, but I can do so on alternative platforms, which I have. And if you're watching me on those alternative platforms like Rumble and Odyssey, you are the most hardcore fans out there, and I do appreciate that very much. Ugh, I said fans, I hate that. We'll figure out something a little bit more, a little less pretentious rather, something a little bit more appropriate. Because these people think that they're super important, and they sold their credibility. Maybe their forebears sold it down the aisle, sold it, or shipped it down the river a long time ago. They learned their activism in college. I would have thought that the real world would have slapped them in the face, but no. It's the same people who were indoctrinated back in the 60s, back in the 70s, back in the 80s, all the way up through until today, thinking the exact same stuff that they did, took all of their hug box policies that have been ramped up in the past couple of decades with all of the gendered politics, all of the divisive politics that are out there, ratchet it up to 11 and just think that that's going to be consumable at a wide scale. But yeah, they're starting to realize that that's just not the case. Viewership is dwindling on cable programming. It really shouldn't. TV should be thriving. It should have been hitting all-time highs throughout the past year. People had nothing to do. TV is the easiest fucking thing to consume in history, okay? All you need to do is just sit down, turn it on, it's there. It's the easiest thing to do. For as much as I love the choice of YouTube or different other video streaming apps, that is a barrier to entry that you have to become accustomed to. When you're just surfing TV, all you need to do is just press up and down, up and down. You can go straight from sports, you can be watching a movie, you can be watching a serialized drama, you could even be catching something they call news, all at the click of a button without having to do any searching, without having going through and punching in different addresses. But no, they chose to infuse politics and divisive language into everything that the media does. From pop culture down to the news, it is indistinguishable at this point. And they've killed it. The only people who are still kicking around are the people who refuse to make the jump. They just like their couple of programs. They aren't really terribly political. And just catch the evening news. They just think that it's still 1976 and everything's just going to be okay. But it's really not. And once those people eventually age out, television's going to be dead unless it goes through a significant revolution. All of these corporations that are pumping out different content, you just look at Disney right now, what are they doing? They're trying to make everything into a fucking series, and it's, just impossible. Nobody could sit down and watch, 10 new Star Wars programs that are going to be coming out, all in different forms of television. Like, nobody has time for that, okay? All that you're just going to be doing is creating these streaming platforms that nobody's going to watch, and you're just going to do exactly what you did to television, to your platform, and then you're just going to continue to glob on to different platforms until it's all dead. And then us on the other side who don't really want to be dealing with this shit anymore, we're just going to be carving out our own little niche over here, and you can come find us when you're done with the politically charged hit pieces like the ones that you'll find on 60 Minutes. With that said, that's a little wrap up of the 3 probably most prominent Republican governors doing great jobs all around. I know it's even surprising considering Brian Kemp's lack of a spine, but hey, the fucking broken clock can be right twice a day, I suppose. With that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.